Welcome everyone. I hope you're all excited for today's Positivity Magic presentation. I am Jonas Cain. I will be your facilitator of fascination. And what does that mean? What does it mean to be a facilitator of fascination? Quite simply, it means that I use positivity magic to communicate principles and practices for choosing fascination rather than frustration. And one of the things that I most appreciate and love, emphasis on the word love, about magic is it reminds us life is filled with surprises. But that's not the whole story. Well, perhaps I should say whole. Not in the sense of something missing, but rather whole in the sense of being complete. Everyone go, Thank you, Russ. Now, when we ignore this distinction, that's when life's surprises can get us so turned around that it can really put us on the spot. Everyone go, hey, there we go. Now, some people see surprises as problems to be ignored, while others as opportunities to be explored. So let's explore this. This spot is made by taking a hole and placing it in front of a hole. This spot, however, is different because if you look closely, well, there isn't a hole there at all. Everyone yelled, surprise!
Wow.
There we go. We're getting it now. Now, when we truly embrace surprise, not as problems, but as opportunities, well, that's when opportunities pop up everywhere. Even in the most unlikely of places, helping us to grow to whole new heights. And that, my friends, is truly what positivity magic is all about. And that's the whole story.
The whole story.
Thank you very much. Oh, excuse me. I apologize. Whole story. Well, I am truly excited to be here today to share with you today's talk. This will be a fascinating talk. What I find most fascinating about today is Valentine's Day is right around the corner. It is one of my 3 most favorite days of the year. It's right up in line with Thanksgiving and my birthday. Because certainly celebrating love, celebrating gratitude, and celebrating life, to me, those are the 3 essentials to a positive life. So I'm so excited for Valentine's Day to come up. But the problem with Valentine's Day, the problem with the word love, this dangerous L word, the danger is that we get kind of confused. What do we mean when we say love? What do we mean when we say whole, right? It's the same kind of confusion. We say it sounds the same, but we might mean several different things. And I think a part of what is going to help us unpack this is to have a good imagination. Now, we have a good imagination, right?
Sure.
Yeah, definitely, sure, right? I hope everyone at home does as well. We're going to test our imagination now. Can you guess what might be inside here? Any guesses?
A nut.
A nut? What do you think?
Marble?
A marble, maybe? A nut or a marble? Well, I'm going to show you what it is. It's a magic quarter.
Magic word.
Magic quarter. You may hold on to the magic quarter. Hold it up so that everyone at home can see on the camera. Hold it up high. It's the magic quarter. Now, this truly is a magic quarter. Let me show you what it does. I'll take it back. Thank you. You're doing great. Watch close. The quarter goes in my hand. Give it a little squeeze. Give it a little... And the quarter disappears. Thank you very much. I love your face right now.
Well, I don't know how you did that.
I know, it's magic,
That's
right?
magic.
But of course, if it can disappear, it should also reappear. So let's see if we can make the quarter reappear. All we have to do is fold the little bag, or the handkerchief, into a little makeshift bag. And when we do, I can reach inside the bag and pull out the quarter. You may hold on to it this time. Make sure that it really is the invisible magic quarter. Is that the real invisible magic quarter that we just had a moment ago?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is, because she has a good imagination. Now, that's a neat trick. But to be a fascinating trick, we have to take it a step further and make the magic bottle appear. Now, the magic bottle is a very special prop because this magic bottle, you see that there's no way anything can get in because we have it's corked, but also there's no holes anywhere else. It's a solid bottle, right? Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to try and get that quarter inside the bottle. It's going to look like a camera trick. And admittedly, we do have a camera here. But there's going to be no camera trickery. What you see at home is just what you folks here are seeing in the live audience. There's about 1,000 people here right now, for anyone who's not here in person. May I see the quarter, please? Thank you very much. On the count of 3, we're going to toss the quarter into the bottle. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. And once it gets inside the bottle, you can actually hear it inside. You can actually hear it, and you can actually see it inside there as well. That is, it really is inside the bottle. Now, here's the neat thing. Even if it wasn't corked, look at this. It doesn't fit.
Fit out, yeah.
It just doesn't fit out because this is a magic quarter. A magic quarter, of course, in order to get the quarter out, we need to use the magic wand. And we just reach inside, and it's a twist and pull. You twist and pull at the same time, and when you do, the quarter comes out. Everyone go, yay! Oh, thank you. I love how enthusiastic you are. But of course, this is a magic quarter. And what do we do with a magic quarter?
We multiply it.
Well, we make it disappear, just like we did a moment ago. You may hold on to the quarter.
Okay.
Do not let that go. Do not let that go. Because in order to make it reappear, or in order to see it, I should say, we have to place it back inside the little box. And you place it back inside the little box. You're doing good. You're doing good. Give them a nice big hand. You did a wonderful job. Thank you for your help. Now that's a neat trick, right?
Yeah.
But that's not the trick I wanted to show you. That's a neat trick, but we're here to talk about love. And the problem with love, what do we say it is?
Gratitude.
Well, gratitude. Well, that's part of it. That is part of it, because you do have the notes in front of you. Gratitude is a part of this whole thing called love. But the problem is, what do we mean when we talk about love? Because it's something that we can sometimes see love in action. We can sometimes feel love. But how do we know it's really there at all? When we place the magic bottle inside the bag, I'm going to wave my hand and the bottle will disappear. No. Yes. On the count of 3, are you ready?
Okay.
You know the magic words, right? You know,
Abracadabra.
you've seen the show
yeah.
before. That's right. The magic words are abracadabra. So on the count of 3, you're going to say the magic words. And the bottle's going to disappear. On the count of 1, 2, 3.
Abracadabra.
You're so good at this. You're not going to believe this. You will not believe this. But the bottle has disappeared. Now I'll make it come back. And the bottle magically comes back. Thank you very much. Well, I told you, you wouldn't believe it. What I said was true. What I said was true. But this time we'll do it again. But this time it'll be twice as hard because, well, now I actually have to do it. So I'll wave my hands. We'll say the magic words. And hopefully everyone at home, you could play along with this too. Wave your hands, say the magic words, and hopefully it's going to actually work. On the count of 1, 2, 3.
Abracadabra.
You're so good. Give yourselves a nice big hand. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm impressed with you folks. What I love about magic, and especially with the magic that we just saw, is it's things that you don't see every day. You don't see these sort of things. And something that was here just a moment ago is now gone. Something that wasn't here all of a sudden was here. Something we could hear but not see Well, this is kind of like love. It's this ambiguous notion about what everyone loves. There's people who just love everything. They say, oh, I love this sandwich. Oh, I love you. Or I love that camera. Or I love the river. I love my Instagram photo. We live in a day and age when we just throw out this word love for everything. Now that's some people. Some other people, however, they don't use the word at all. Perhaps out of a fear of being misunderstood. Maybe out of a fear of appearing vulnerable. If all of a sudden you're revealing your true feelings, you're going to be open to criticism. Or maybe they just genuinely loathe everything and everyone. Maybe that's the case. But what I'm suggesting with this presentation today is that maybe we could unpack some possible definitions of what love is and what it could possibly mean. And to do that, we're going to be talking about what ancient philosophers talked about love, as well as modern sociologists and psychologists would talk about love as well. I've combined it into 8 different definitions. 8 different definitions. The problem with these is that they are all translated as the same word. They're all translated, they all sound the same. Love. But they certainly don't feel the same. And they certainly aren't expressed in the same kind of way. So with that in mind, and again, because Valentine's Day is next week, one of my 3 favorite days of the year, we're going to unpack these. And that way, when Valentine's Day comes around, you'll be able, if you choose to have a Valentine's Day. Some people revolt against Valentine's Day because they don't want to buy cards and chocolates and stuffed animals, and they don't want to buy into that part of it. But if maybe we want to choose our own way to celebrate it, we'll be able to tell our Valentine exactly what we mean when we say, I love you. So, number 1, the first definition of love. Do I have a volunteer who would like to read this? Oh, yes, Lisa. Right. Storge, yes. And what is storge love?
Sort of is a fondness among those who value the long-term nature of the relationship, whether between friends, spouses, children, pets, or colleagues. It's also been used to describe love felt towards one's country and even a favorite sport team.
Perfect. Thank you. So this is perhaps a definition of love that we often feel and we often express. You know, if we're talking to friends or family, like a spouse or a dog or a cat, say, oh, I love you. This is probably what we're talking about, this long-term relationship kind of love. It's showing an appreciation for that aspect of it. And I'm sure we all have our own examples of this in our everyday lives, right? So we've probably used the word love and meant this kind of love, right? Yeah. All right. Number 2, we have philia. Philia is love it's affectionate among equals, whether between friends, family, or community. Some ancient texts use this term quite liberally as a generic word for any kind of love, such as loving a friend, a desire, an activity, food, or romantic partner. Now, this is kind of similar in that it's talking about love between family, friends, and even community. You know, we're talking about love towards one's country. That can be kind of similar. But the reason that the difference that I'm seeing here is that in the ancient world, this term itself was used generically. And so we wouldn't have a storge kind of love towards food, but we could have a philia kind of love towards food. Oh, I love this sandwich. Well, with that kind of love, well, that's philia. So if we were to translate it more precisely, it would be defined as 2 different kinds of love, even though you might use them interchangeably in some cases. Number 3, anyone would like to read this one? Want to read it? Thank you, Kevin.
Pragmatic. Pragmatic love is practical and convenient, where partners are in service to each other towards a common goal.
Thank you, Kevin. Pragmatic love. So it's a kind of love that is convenient, where both parties in the relationship are getting something, but they're also giving something. Have you ever seen this kind of love expressed in maybe your own relationships, or maybe you've seen other people in relationships like this? Yeah. Do you have any examples? Or?
Well, one that is continuous, a marriage.
Oh, absolutely. And in fact, when I was doing the research on this, it said that whereas you might be in a certain type of love relationship with someone, but if it's a storage kind of love that's long term, you might actually go back in and out of different versions of love. In that you might start off with a sort of eros definition, which we'll get to that in a moment, and then it'll move to more of a ludus relationship. But then, if you are married in a long-term marriage, it becomes more pragmatic in that you're both supporting each other. And in fact, in the research, it said that that's the kind of love that most elderly couples get into, that they fall into. They're both supporting each other. They can't make it on their own, but together they can support each other. Mm-hmm. Also, in cultures where they have arranged marriages, that is pragmatic love.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and also in royalty as well, where the princes and princesses marry each other. They're not marrying for any other type of love. They're marrying because it's convenient. And it's good for the family, it's good for business, it's pragmatic.
Yeah.
A lot of business people,
Okay.
like business folks too. You might have a business partner, and you might say that you love them, but it's a pragmatic love. Mm-hmm. Number 4, ludus. This is one that I like this one. This one is love between those who value participating in fun experiences together, whether indoor, outdoor activities, games, joking around, and such. Now this is one that you probably have if you're a member of a club, or it might be ones that if you just have a bunch of friends that you like to play games with or get together and fool around with. That's the type of love that you would have between that kind of a relationship. Number 5, this is a dangerous one. I see a lot of people in mania relationships. Mania is love that is obsessive. It's an obsessive desire to experience love, often as a means of escape or to reinforce one's own sense of value. Now this kind of love can lead to codependency and jealousy. I'm not going to name any names.
What do you mean?
But I'm saying I've been in relationships
Okay.
that I've experienced the other partner having this sort of manic love towards me, and also I've had this kind of manic love as well. Where you just get obsessed and you get so jealous. It's almost like this possessive kind of love. We've probably all seen this at some point, whether personally yourself or maybe see your friends go through something.
In my opinion, a couple presidents come to mind.
Presidents?
Okay.
Starting with George Washington.
Oh.
It's in black and white at the library. I just read it last week.
Oh, really?
What did it say?
Yeah.
He had a girlfriend,
Yeah.
not just Martha.
Oh my
Martha
God.
was his wife.
Oh.
There was another one.
Okay. Yeah. So that's So it's a version of escape. He's escaping his wife. You know, he's maybe it's out of a sense of reinforcing his own value. Yeah. A lot of times we seek other people as a way to validate ourselves, to receive acceptance. When really the most important people to accept us is ourselves. If we don't have self-acceptance, that's when we go to other people or other things. I think you can also have a manic kind of love for your job. I think you can have a manic type of love. I know my relationship with my cat is manic. I get jealous if anyone else pets her.
Oh, really?
Like, no, that's my cat. I understand it's unhealthy, but she doesn't mind. She loves me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's kind of a type of love that's it has some issues with it.
Yeah.
Now, it's number 6, eros. This is probably the most popular type of love. When we think about love, especially Valentine's Day type of love, this is probably what we mean. Eros is an intimate, romantic love. This kind of love may at first have an emphasis on physical beauty, but over time it may transform to include inner beauty as well. That's what the ancient philosophers believed, that eros, the love between romantic partners, was meant to point us in the direction of this transcendental inner beauty. So it was a way to get us into that frame of mind. So it would start off as a physical attraction, but then it would turn into just this appreciation for love and beauty in general. Now I know I've experienced eros love. I've experienced manic love, ludus love, pragmatic, philia, storge. So far, even though it's the same, it sounds the same, but we can see how it can be expressed in so many different ways, and it has different expressions. It has different what's the word I'm looking for? Problems that can arise out of it. But we still have 2 more. These 2 more models of love here. And do I have a volunteer to read number 7?
Agape.
Agape.
Yeah, go ahead, agape.
There's a church up the street named Agape Christian Fellowship.
Oh, have you ever been there?
Yeah.
Yeah? What are they like?
Well, mostly they help people throughout the world, different countries, and they also specialize in welcoming deaf people.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So that's their specialty. That's interesting.
Yeah, there's 2 brothers.
Are they deaf?
No.
Are they deaf? They're not deaf?
Well, that is very...
But even the sign outside says deaf welcome.
Oh, I see.
Wow, that's interesting. I've never heard of them specifying that specifically. A lot of churches will say that all are welcome, but this one specifies that definitely
Well,
we want you specifically.
yeah, they probably have sign language and stuff like that.
Yeah. I'm actually taking sign language lessons. I did a magic show at a school for the deaf, and as a thank you, I get to go in and I get to take lessons. And my favorite sign, I'm going to show you my favorite sign. If you want to try it, you may. It's this, and then that. So when you put it together, you know what that means?
Get together?
Oh no, it means
Yes.
there's magic
Oh, magic, oh my goodness.
everywhere.
Oh, wow,
It's
okay.
my favorite sign because when everyone asks, "Oh, how'd you do that?" I say, "Oh, magic everywhere." That's all you need to know.
I have a brother.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah, it's fascinating. The different
I know, yeah.
yeah, the different ways to communicate. Was he born deaf or was he?
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, so I grew up with him. He went to a different school.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then, but you know,
Older or younger?
he's 1 year younger than me.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Does he live locally?
No, he
I was
lives
gonna
in
say, you
Florida.
go to the
I know, I know.
While we're on the subject, what
Yeah.
does this mean?
L-O-V-E.
Love. I know. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I
But-
love it. What kind of love is that? It's probably filial.
But
I
you
love
know,
it.
you know what sign language for love? Do you know what sign language for love?
Oh,
I just showed him.
No, that's the.
that's spelling it out, but is it this?
L-O-V, that's the
That's the word love.
The word,
Yeah.
that's the word. Short, put the sign language for love. It's this one.
Yeah.
That's love, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, I love you.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many different ways,
Yeah.
even with sign language, there's so many different ways to communicate the
Yeah.
same sentiment.
Yeah, oh, yeah, yes.
I grew up with 2 deaf people.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there you go.
It helps to know these things in order to, because
But you never read the agape thing. You never read.
oh well yeah so what you described about the church is really what I was about with
Oh, okay.
what it says here. It's they're putting it into practice. It's this unconditional love that wills the good of another. Those with this kind of love find pleasure in serving the beloved. So it's this no strings attached. It's the type of love that I'm no theologian, but I would suggest is the type of love that God has for us.
Oh, okay.
Because it's this unconditional. There's nothing that we could do to have this type of love removed. We might not love the actions that people do. We might not love their attitudes, especially if we're driving and have road rage. But we can still have this kind of love for people. And the last one is kind of controversial, and we'll see why. Can I have a volunteer to read this one? You want to read number 8?
Yeah, I'll read it.
Yeah. I think it's
Philautia?
I think it's Philautia.
Philautia, thank you.
Yeah.
Philautia is self-love, oh my God, which can be expressed negatively as vanity and egoism, or positively as self-acceptance and happiness for who you are.
Thank you. Yeah, so this self-love, when I first came across this in my research, I thought, well, self-love, that's being caught up in yourself, being vain. That's not a good thing, right? But it does have a light side. It has a dark side and a light side. It has extremes,
Yeah.
and when brought to the negative side, it can create tensions in relationships. But if we have the positive side of it, of accepting yourself and being happy for who you are, a lot of times we put off happiness until, I'm only going to be happy when I find a spouse. Or I'm going to wait to be happy until I have the right job. I'm going to wait to be happy until I've lost weight, or I've gained muscle, or I have a child, or I have this car, or those clothes, or when I move into a big house. We delay our happiness. But what this type of love is suggesting, on the positive side of this, is we can be happy for who we are just as we are. Even if we have goals and dreams, I'm not saying we shouldn't have goals and dreams, but we can be happy with who we are as we're striving towards it. So that's the positive side of this kind of love. So 8 different definitions. They all sound the same. It's all love, but they are expressed differently, and they have different repercussions. And one could argue that they all have their benefits and also drawbacks. So now that we've unpacked this, I have a question for you folks. What one, I suppose, it's a couple questions. What kind of love have you experienced the most, or maybe you're currently experiencing, and what kind of love do you think is the ideal, or the kind of love that you would want to strive for? You have any ideas? I'll give you a moment to think about it. You don't have to just say the first thing that comes to mind, but if you want to just, and everyone at home as well, if you want to think about the type of love that you've experienced, and then the type of love that you think is the ideal love that if you had a choice, this is the type of love that you would strive for. And for those of you at home, give you the benefit, I'll list them off again. Storge, which is a long-term relationship love. Philia, a generic term for love, but can be used for friends, family, community, food, desires, activities. Pragmatic, it's practical and convenient. Ludus, the love that you have with people who you can participate in fun experiences with. Mania, an obsessive desire to love as a means of escape or reinforce your sense of value. Eros, romantic love. Agape is unconditional love. And Philautia, self-love, which can be negative or positive. Let me see if I can bring this up. I have a poster that I had an artist make for me. And I had her make this poster for me. Oh, let me go back. I think I just found it. I had her make this poster for me so that I could use it in promoting my services. Okay, I can show it to you here.
Oh, this one?
This one right here at the top,
Oh, yeah.
yep. So it says Jonas Cain. It's a picture of my back. So if you look at this, there's a couple things going on here. Number one, I will tell you that this is a poster made in homage of another magician named David Devant. He was one of the most influential magicians of the 20th century. He's a British magician. He performed for royalty. He wrote several books on magic. He was very popular. And he had a poster very similar to this, but of course it was him, it had his name. But if you look in the lower right-hand corner, it says, all done in love. Now, David Devant's poster said, all done by kindness. Because when anyone asked him, oh, how'd you do that? It was like, oh, it was all done by kindness. His idea that kindness has this magical quality to be real magic in people's lives. To bring smiles to people's faces, help them to forget their troubles. That was his idea of bringing magic to people's lives. Now, I took that idea and took it a step further in my own, is all done in love. Again, I'm not a theologian, but one of my favorite lines in the Bible, it says, everything that you do it in love. And that got me thinking, well, if I'm going to do everything in love, what does it mean to do everything in love? What kind of love are we talking about? And I came to the conclusion that for me personally, the type of love that I'm after is this unconditional love that wills the good of another, just like that church, that Agape Church.
Yeah.
So it finds love in serving others. And the reason that I stumbled upon this too is that a number of years ago, I had this practice where I took a little piece of paper and I wrote a word on it. It was a word that I wanted to concentrate on, to incorporate into my life, and I put it in a place where I would see it every day. So at that time, I had a desktop computer, so I put it on my keyboard, just in the back, so that anytime I went to the computer, I would see it every day. And I just kept it there for years. And seeing that word every day, it really incorporated into the forefront of my mind, so that every day I would be forced to find ways to express this word and this idea in everyday life. And that word, I'll tell you what it is. The word was service. Service. In which is a huge part of this kind of unconditional love. It's being of service to others, because that's another word that has some connotations to it. What kind of service are we being? Are we serving? Are we being self-serving? Are we serving others? Are we serving others to help them? Or are we serving others to bring them down? What kind of service are we bringing? And that's how I've stumbled upon this kind of love that personally I'm seeking. And it's to help people. Everyone has a reason to suffer, but they don't have to. So my work as a facilitator of fascination and purveyor of positivity is to help people. Is to serve them by helping them to their best selves to shine. So that's personally my answer to that question about what kind of love I'm aiming towards. Now, that's not to say I hit that every day. I may strive for it, and I do hit it often, but sometimes it falls into one of the other areas of love as well. How about you folks? What's your ideal love that at this stage in your life that you're looking for?
Happiness for yourself and making others happy.
Okay, yeah. So that's sort of a mixture of 7 and 8, I think. Being able to be happy with yourself, but also being able to help others. So it's a mixture of love. That's great.
I'll send you an email.
I feel the same way too. Yeah, it's like Falasha and agape. I've always felt like I liked everybody, and Felicia is like both good and bad as far as the making sure that that you're not self-serving, and find other ways not to be self-serving, but still love and show that be happy for who you are.
Yeah, it's a tough one because if the positive side of Fallujah is that being able to be happy with who you are, with where you are, even when we're striving to better ourselves. But I always have to check myself to make sure, what are my intentions? Is my intention really to help people in this situation, or am I going into this situation because I'm going to get something out of it, regardless of what others? Now, it's okay. Now, of course, a relationships, it's a two-way street. It's this dance. By definition, you have to have a relationship. You need two parties, right?
Yeah.
And for ourselves, it's sort of like it's the relationship maybe between our mind and our ego and our heart. So it's this sort of dance between that. But with others, yeah, we're going to both want to get something positive out of it. But we want to make sure that it's more even rather than uneven. Even if sometimes it might be uneven in certain situations, as long as it evens out in the end. It's a way to keep things even, Steven.
Yeah.
So, this presentation today was advertised as called the 5 Promises of Love.
Okay.
Now, so far, we've gone over 8 definitions of love. But the core of what I want to make sure that we walk away with in the last few moments of this presentation is the 5 promises of love. And we've stumbled upon it in this last part, in that we all agree that 7 and 8, agape or agape and Fallujah, this is what we're striving for. And if we're striving for this, how can we express this? How can we make sure that we work every day to get this in our lives and the lives of those within our sphere of experience? And these 5 promises, I believe, is one way to incorporate those 2 kinds of loves into our everyday lives.
Okay.
And right at the top, when I mentioned earlier about love, what does it mean? You had mentioned the word gratitude,
Yeah.
right? And this is a huge part of love.
Mm-hmm.
So if we look at these 5 promises, the first promise is gratitude. And this promise says of love, it says, thank you for being a part of my life. Thank you for walking by my side. I love you. Now, gratitude can be expressed in words. It could be expressed as actually saying thank you, but it can also be expressed in actions. We can thank people by doing favors for them, by helping them out, whether or not we say it verbally. An important thing to remember, though, is that we might be able to say thank you, but then our actions would speak otherwise by showing a lack of gratitude. So if we say it, we just have to make sure that our actions back it up as well. Number 2 is repentance. This promise of love says, I'm sorry for anything I may have done, now, in the past, or in the future, that may have hurt you. I never mean to upset you, and I am sorry. I love you. Now, just like gratitude, repentance can be expressed in words, by saying I'm sorry, but it can also be expressed in actions, namely by actually striving not to do whatever would offend. But it can also be expressed as trying to do things that you feel called to do to express this kind of love and intimacy. So one thing that's important here, though, is that some people, they don't like to use their words. Some people, they see their actions as speaking for them. The idea that actions speak louder than words, which is very much true. Just saying I'm sorry, just saying thank you. For some people, that's enough. That's all they need. But some people, they need to see it. But some people, maybe you're doing favors for someone and you're doing these things that in your mind it's expressing gratitude, or in your mind it's expressing repentance, but the other person isn't interpreting those actions as gratitude or repentance. So some people need to actually hear it instead of just seeing it, because they might misinterpret it. So it's kind of like this communication. And one of the biggest problems with communication is the illusion that it's taken place. So by just being all on the same page and saying, okay, especially if we're in a loving relationship, we should be open and honest. It's like, I know you love me. What kind of love do you have for me? You know. So those are some important things to keep in mind. Number 3 is forgiveness. Now this promise says, I forgive you for anything that you may have done, now, in the past, or in the future, to hurt me. I know that you never mean to upset me, and I acknowledge that we all make mistakes from time to time. I love you. Now this one, this one is really related to number 2. It's related to repentance, but I put repentance first and forgiveness second, because if we can't forgive others, then how can we expect others to forgive us? If we're going to seek something, we have to make sure it's something that we would be willing to give ourselves as well, or to give others the benefit of. So forgiveness and repentance go hand in hand. If we can't forgive someone, how can we expect them to forgive us? So again, words and actions can express this. But an important thing to remember is we might say we forgive someone. We might even tell ourselves that we've forgiven them. But if we hold a grudge, that's not a sincere forgiveness. Now, some would say forgive and forget. I don't think we ever truly forget, but we can do our best to demonstrate this forgiveness by seeking to trust again. Number 4, this is a good one, support. This promise says, I support your hopes and dreams, and I promise to do all that I can to help build you up. In other words, I love you. I think we all know how important it is to have the support of the people in our lives. Whether friends, family, spouse, loved ones. Now some people just want to know that you're standing behind them, that you back them up, you're rooting for them. Some people, that's all they need. Some people just want to know that there's an ear to listen to, or there's a shoulder to lean on. So some people are just happy knowing that you back them up. Some people, though, they want you side by side. They actually want you, to be hand in hand with them. So it's important to figure out what kind of support that they're looking for. Some people, too, they're looking for support, not advice. And this is a problem that, in my research, men have. Men like to solve problems, but women tend to just want to know that they're being heard.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a fine line for us to walk.
Yeah.
Number 5, recognition. This promise says, I recognize you for who you are today, for who you were, and what brought you to this moment, and for who you hope to be. I love you. Now this is an important one too, because this one shows that you're proud of your beloved, that you, it shows that you love them for who they are. And it's important to let them know it. Instead of just saying, I love you, maybe we could say, I love you because of this characteristic, or for what you do here, or for type of person that you are. And it's important to let other people know, just let people know that you're proud of this person, and to let their best truly shine in every moment by recognizing them when they succeed, but also reminding them of their true value, even if they don't succeed, or perhaps when they themselves don't see it as well. So those are, in my opinion, and in my research as well, what I have distilled as the 5 core promises of love that will help us achieve both agape love and also philautia love. So love, unconditional love for others, but also unconditional love for ourselves. What do you think?
Makes perfect sense.
Makes perfect sense, yeah? Have you had any experience with these 5 promises in your own life, or of them succeeding, or maybe challenges with them? Have you had any challenges with these?
I've seen this type of, they call it 4 or 5 reasons of relationships, the relationship. thing, gratitude and repentance, forgiveness, yeah. And you say, you do this like once a month or something with a partner, with them. So that way everybody knows what's going on.
I like that idea to sort of have a little meeting, a little,
Yeah.
you know, like, okay, it's our monthly meeting, let's
Yeah.
see
Yeah,
what's working,
yeah,
what's not working,
yeah.
how can we improve, and go through this list with each of those. When
Mhm.
maybe going through like, oh, I'm grateful for you because of this. Oh, I'm sorry for this. So I like that idea. So it's a
Yeah.
nice way to stay proactive.
Yeah, and you can do that with everybody. It doesn't have to be like a romantic or romantic type of love. It could be with any relationship.
Yeah, it could be someone that you have a pragmatic relationship with too, I suppose. In like business, it could
Yeah.
be at work. It could be with a colleague. It could be with a friend. It
Right.
could be with your cat.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
You're like, Pumpkin, you know I didn't like it when you did that, but I forgive you.
Yeah,
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
yeah.
I like that idea. So for those of you at home, we've had lots of wonderful ideas for explaining what love could mean. We've had some ideas for the types of love that perhaps we want to strive for. And there's no right or wrong answer. It really is a personal thing. Some people, they're looking just to have a good time, so they're looking for ludus love. Some people, they're just looking to get through the day with in a convenient way, so they're looking for pragmatic love. Whatever type of love that you're looking for, I hope that you have a wonderful Valentine's Day. And I hope that you're able to use the 5 promises of love and have those monthly checkups with whoever you're in a relationship with. And I would suggest, most important of all, is to do this with yourself. Go through this list. Where do you need to be more grateful for yourself? Where do you need to forgive yourself? Where do you need to support yourself more and give yourself some recognition? Because it's when we truly love and value ourselves in a healthy way, it's only then that we're able to live a richer and more fuller life, and we're become more open to loving others more fully. Even if we hate ourselves, I think we're still capable of loving others, but when we truly, truly have a genuine appreciation and love for ourselves, that's what enables us to really love others more fully. So I hope you've all enjoyed today's presentation. My name is Jonas Cain. Until next time, stay positive.